EGM Network.
Treasure Coast Connector. Connecting residents and businesses of the Treasure Coast. And here's your host, Ellen Contreras.
Welcome to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras. This episode is partially sponsored by Libby Weissman and her team at Senior Transition Navigator and Luxury Homes of the Treasure Coast. They work with seniors and their families during times of transition with services like downsizing, decluttering, packing, moving, relocation, real estate sales, and more. For a free consultation, give Libby a call at 772-783-2800 or visit seniortransitionnavigator.com and luxuryhomesofthetreasurecoast.com. So living in Florida, it is warm year-round, and that makes it ideal for outdoor activities, especially sports like golf. Joining me in the studio today is Suzi Caprise, and she is an LPGA Class A member and golf pro instructor. And she works with people, of course, who have professional aspirations, but she also loves to teach people who just want to play for fun. She's got a lot of great information to share, so welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ellen. A pleasure being here today.
Yes, I'm happy to have you here. And before we talk about the work that you do, I would love for you to just share a little bit about what made you want to learn golf, to play golf, and then become an LPGA member, and then eventually, teach?
Okay, great question. I grew up playing sports. I played tennis and I played softball, but never anything with golf. And some friends of mine one day said, "Hey, we're going to go out and play some golf. You want to come?" And I thought, well, let me try it. What am I going to lose?
Yeah.
So I got out there. I was actually able to hit the golf ball. So that, that was a big deal. And I actually had fun doing it. And, I stayed doing it socially for a while. I ended up joining a club and got a little more serious about playing and competing. And shortly after that, I met my husband. And he was a golfer. So I had another partner to play with. And we'd come down to visit his dad here in Florida, and he'd send me all these golf schools, and I'd always be in the better section of the golf school. I thought, well, maybe I'm okay, And then one day I came home and I said, you know what? I want to do what they're doing. And he said, well, then call the LPGA. And I said, what? He goes, no, find the number and call them right now. So I was playing, like I mentioned, in a private club in Long Island. And I mentioned it to the people that were there, and they gave me my first opportunity to get my feet in the water and to start teaching and learning about becoming a golf professional. So that's how it all started.
Oh, I love that. And yeah, you had that natural proclivity, as I said, before we started taping. And so now what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about the different types. We're going to talk about the different types of people that come to you for golf lessons, right? And it's not just people that are looking to go pro. So people want to play golf for a wide variety of reasons. So if you could just tell us more about it, the different types of people, ages, and all of that. And then we'll kind of get into the different sectors.
Okay.
Yeah.
I teach men, I teach women, and I teach children and juniors. So there's a real desire on all the different genders and ages. And people typically want to come out just to have fun. Yeah. That's the first thing. But then you get along with other people, and they want to do more than that. They want to maybe join a club, whether it's public or private. They want to play with their friends or their spouse. Yeah. The kids come along, and golf has become very, very popular now. And that's the Tiger Woods effect. Sure. And those kids now say, I want to be the next Tiger, or I want to be the next Nelly Korda in the LPGA. And they have somebody to look up to. And now there is people like myself who can come along and customize that for them to to realize some of their dreams and just, again, having fun along the way.
Yeah, I love that. And so that's the thing is that some people look at, the golfers, maybe they're having a restaurant, having a meal at a restaurant overlooking a golf course, and then they look at that, but they feel intimidated. So what do you say to someone that looks and goes, interesting, but I don't know if I should,
Yeah. I would say that come into my lesson, give it that 30 minutes, and see if you don't leave being able, number one, to get the ball up in the air, and number two, to have fun.
Yeah.
So you have to have that. You have to have that ability to connect with people. It's all about the connection. And I think I'm pretty good at that because I love what I do.
Yeah.
And when you're passionate about something, it's not work.
Yeah. And that shows definitely. And then the cliche, business. So much business is done on the golf course, right? And then some people have actually taken lessons specifically for that reason. So when someone says, I'm feeling left out, what do you say to them when they say, that's what they want to do?
Okay, we're gonna change that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could talk about the group of ladies that I taught up in Connecticut one summer.
Please share that.
And excuse me, and they all came for a group lesson, and there was a tournament going on at the same time with the company that they worked for. And these women were very educated. They were engineers. They were contractors. They had architects, everything. They had great backgrounds, and they were in pretty high positions in the company, but they didn't know how to play golf. And they felt left out. And that's very true for a lot of women.
Yeah.
And they said, you know what? They called the club where I was teaching. Is there a woman there? Yes. Can we set up some lessons with her? Because we want to know how to start, and we need somebody to help us get there. So they would do that. And there was more people in the community. There was all these other businesses that were male and female, but the females being in management didn't have the same opportunities to make that deal that their male counterparts had. So they kept coming and they kept doing that, and they loved it.
Yeah.
And I still hear from them saying, you know what? I'm playing in that tournament next year. I'm signed up. I'm not going to be the cart girl anymore, and I'm not going to be the one selling the raffles.
The raffle tickets, right. And there's nothing wrong with that because we have, as you know, here in Florida, we have a bazillion fundraisers in season, and there's a lot of golf tournaments, right?
Right. And
so it is kind of fun if you've never played golf, let me, for this charitable, I'll volunteer, But then there are the people that are happy to volunteer, but then they watch the people playing and they go, oh, that's where the fun is. So let me have somebody else do the tickets next year. Let me get out on the golf course. So with that said, look at the camera and you tell those people that either want to do it for a hobby or for, the fundraising and stuff. What is your phone number and your email address so that they can call you?
Of course. You can contact me. I'm Suzi Caprise again. And my email is Suzi Golf. That's spelled SUZI golf @yahoo.com. And my phone number is area code 561-379-7612. And I'm happy to speak with you, to talk about a plan of action, and to help you enjoy this great game.
Yeah, and it is a lot of fun. And I mean, golf has been around for centuries, right? It started in Scotland. Yeah.
Yes, by a woman, by a queen.
Interestingly enough.
Yes.
I like that.
Me too.
Yeah, that is very cool. And then so with the kids, I want to just circle back to the kids. How old can they be to start off? What is the youngest that you work with normally? Well,
there's some people that see that or feel that their child is going to be the next, phenom. That's very, very unlikely. I say if, a parent or a grandparent comes to me and says, my grandchild, my son,
my
daughter,
Johnny is amazing.
He's amazing, Susie. You have to see him. I'll say to him, okay, come on over. And my comment to them when they're 3, 4, and even 5 is, give them a club, but most importantly, give them a club that's not a weighted club, because that would develop bad skills to swing. You want a lightweight club, something really plastic at that age. Give them some wiffle balls and put them out there and say you're practicing as a grandparent or the mother. Go out with them, see what they can do. Then when they get a little further along, then it's great because there's so many opportunities for kids. There's so many programs out there. There's the LPGA has the girls golf program.
Oh, yes. Please explain that. Yeah.
Well, the initiative was to try to get girls into golf because it's a growing interest in sport for young girls. And the LPGA partnered up with the USGA several years ago, and they just reached the 1 millionth girl going through the program.
Oh, wow.
And that is great. And our next initiative is another one.
Another
up to 2 million girls coming in.
And scholarships. There's scholarships to be had.
There's LPGA scholarships every single year that go unclaimed. Ask me how to put them in contact with whom I can help them along the way to get a scholarship for their daughter or their granddaughter. Please, contact me at my phone number or my email address, because it's a shame it's out there and it's not even being tapped.
Yeah, and even if it's a partial scholarship, a little bit is better than nothing. So I love that.
And these girls can go ahead and play, once they go through the girls golf program with the LPGA, they can go into and they can continue to refine their skills, but they can also try to go ahead and get on the girls like a high school golf team. You don't have to be shooting like the pros. You don't have to be shooting in the 70s to go out there. It's all about fun again.
Okay.
And go out there and see how well you can do. And then perhaps there might be an opportunity if you get even a partial scholarship for college.
I love that so much. And with that, we are going to take a very quick break. But Suzi Caprise and I have a lot more to discuss. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, love seats and chairs, and all the latest styles and colors from Tommy Bahama, Lexington, Hooker, Riverside, Universal Coastal Living, Four Seasons, Braxton Color, and Capri. We're also the outdoor furniture experts and have hundreds of styles of any patio furniture you need, including a gallery of Berlin Gardens and Polywood. We specialize in fire pits, outdoor rugs, umbrellas, and replacement cushions. Right now, we're having a spring sale with lots of great markdowns and discounts on everything you need for your Florida home, including all pictures, lamps, and accessories half price. Sunshine Furniture, $12.95 US 1 in the Publix Plaza, Vero Beach. Don't forget to visit our outlet store directly across the street, filled with lots of brand name closeouts and sale items. And visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Welcome to Riverside Theater's Comedy Zone, where the comedy is wild, untamed, and downright hilarious. Hit the zone this Friday and Saturday night at 6:30 and 8:30 for the Treasure Coast's best live stand-up comedy show, featuring nationally recognized comedians with cabaret-style seating and food and drink table service. Buy tickets at riversidetheater.com and get ready for a night of non-stop laughs.
Hey, you! Host your very own show every week at Evergreen Media Network in Vero Beach. Go live to YouTube and Facebook with up to 4 people and your very own producer. Be heard on more than 15 podcast platforms and local radio. All you have to do is show up and talk. Your guests can join from anywhere in the world. It's easy to get started with the largest podcast studio on the Treasure Coast. Contact Evergreen Media to tour the studio.
Welcome back to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras, and I am with Suzi Caprise, and she is an LPGA Class A member and golf pro instructor, and we're going to just dive right back into the conversation. We've been talking about the different types of people that you work with, right? From the people that want to be pros to the people that want to have fun and everything in between. But I'd like for them to hear a little bit more about your background, because you've had some awards, you've done some pretty cool stuff. So
for me, this actually was a second career. So that's a big leap of faith to think that you can change careers. I came from a finance background. And so I decided, like I said earlier, to make an application and go through the system. And I went all the way through to my Class A certification, which is, other people know that it takes a lot to get
that's
the Class A.
Very hard. Yeah, that's a very small percentage of people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So along the road, I ended up, when I taught out in Eastern Long Island, there was a very prestigious newspaper out there called Dan's Papers. And they just talked about everything that went on in the community. And I got awarded in 2019 when I was out there during the summers as the best female golfer in Eastern Long Island. So that was very
cool.
That was really neat.
See, if we had a studio audience, Cindy, everybody would be clapping.
I should just do that.
I know, right? Yay. Yeah. And then there were some other things.
Yes. In 2023, I got nominated for the Southeast Section Teacher of the Year, which
nice.
was a real honor. There was a lot of great instructors that were part of that list, but just being nominated for it was just incredible.
Well, I love that. And now what I'd like to hear about is your approach to teaching golf, because we had this lovely conversation about like how you go about helping people. And then there's this whole other part of etiquette as well. So when someone comes to you and they're not necessarily wanting to go pro, but they've never played golf before, like how do you get people at ease and comfortable, and what can they experience? Like, what was the experience like of the first few lessons that they might have with you?
Okay. The LPGA teaches us to do what we call a student-based approach. So anybody that comes to my lesson tee is different from everybody else. So there is the challenge about how do you connect. So the first thing I would do, like for adults, for example, is I would interview them. And in the interview process, I would learn what they did for a living. That's going to help me decide, do they teach, do they learn kinesthetically, auditorially, or visually? And usually it's a combination of two. So my words are going to matter if somebody's an artist versus somebody who's an engineer.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
So I'm going to know how they're going to hear me and whether they're going to understand me. That's the first thing. Before that, we always go back to their any limitations physically.
Okay.
As anybody, like for older students, anybody's had, hip problems, back problems, recent surgeries, anything that would prevent them from being in a certain position in a golf swing, so that I would avoid that.
Good. Okay.
So
very
that's
good.
another way to go about it. And as I talked to you earlier, I always go back to Tiger Woods' dad, Earl Woods.
Okay.
He taught him to learn from the green, to putt first, to chip, to pitch, iron plays, and longer clubs, woods, and then your driver.
Oh, a lot of people think you start with the driver.
Exactly.
Knocking it out.
Not a good idea. If you've never done it before, a good way to get injured very easily, because it's the longest club, it's the most difficult club, and you want to make it fun, right?
Okay.
Along the way.
Sure.
And also, it's been proven that putting and chipping is 50 to 60% of your score. So if you're just learning and you got a good, we call that a short game.
Yeah.
If you can putt and you can chip, you're going to be able to make good shots, and you're going to get better scores than other people that are not taking lessons that maybe at the same point as you are in the learning process.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And then if people feel like they're in control with that piece of it, that part of the game, then they feel already successful. And then when they have to then learn how to do the, I don't know what I'm saying, but the driving thing, that thwacking and see how very technical.
The
Cindy.
driver.
I know
The
Cindy's
driver,
so
that's
embarrassed.
it.
She's
Just
so,
the driver.
And so with the driver, so you're teaching them the other aspects. So now they feel like they have more control over what they're doing. So that piece of it can be a little easier.
Right, because if you're swinging something a certain length, like a putt, it's not a long stroke.
Yeah.
But as you get better at each of the the skills, you're going to be able to swing the club further and longer, and you're going to be able to make contact. Because I always say to every one of my students, we will get the ball up in the air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you can do that and you feel like you're in a fun environment, I think it's the best.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Thank
my
you.
goodness. Okay. So then what about the etiquette side? Because you brought that up when we were chatting, like actually a couple months ago now. And I thought that was very interesting.
Right.
Because, what is that about?
Well, etiquette, like the word, you need to know how to conduct yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So,
I know to put my napkin on my lap when I go to a restaurant.
Right. So do you know when you go to a golf course and say you're a beginner and you've been invited to play, or even more so in a tournament? One of the first questions I'll get asked is, well, where do I leave my clubs? Seems simple, but where do I drop my clubs off? There's a bag drop. You're not going to know that.
Okay.
Do I tip that individual, right? When do I check into the pro shop to pay for my round? How much beforehand do I have to be at the tee box to be ready to play? How much time do I need to give myself to warm up? So that's all part of like the pre-golf, right? Then you have to know things like the word tee boxes. And that might be something that no one thinks about, but it's an area where you tee off from.
Okay.
So we can't even assume that new person would know even what a tee box is.
I did not know that.
You didn't know that,
No,
right?
no.
So you don't know where to tee off, so you have to learn. That's part of etiquette. You have to learn how to drive your golf cart. You don't want to be hitting people. You don't want to be going over balls with a golf cart. You don't want to be going up too close to the green. You're not allowed to. That's also part of golf etiquette. Also, who hits first. So if 4 people hit a ball or with their driver, the person that's furthest away from the hole goes first. And then the next person, and the next person. Then when you get onto the green, you have to do something which is called marking your ball. You put a coin or a marker behind the ball. Again, what's the proper etiquette? What turn does people go in to putt? Well, again, the furthest away from the hole putts first, and all the way into the closest one. And there's little things like you can't step across somebody's line when you're putting. Those are the kind of things that if you're playing with a seasoned golfer, they're going to be upset with.
They will know. I can't believe we're at the end of this. Do you believe it, how fast it goes?
It went so fast.
And I am fascinated, but I'm so glad I asked this question, because what this answer did was it helped people visualize what to expect from you. And that's half of getting started with something new. Okay, so you took a lot of the mystery out of it. So now for the second half, please tell everybody your phone number and your email address again.
Yes, hi everyone. My phone number is area code 561-379-7612. My email address is Suzi, spelled S-U-Z-I, golf, G-O-L-F, @yahoo.com.
I love that. So now with regard to teaching, I know that you are in St. Lucie County, but explain where in St. Lucie County you teach, and do you go down south as well?
I do.
Yeah.
I do both, yes.
Okay.
I currently teach at Champions Turf, which is at St. James Country Club in Port St. Lucie off Midway Road.
Okay.
I'm also what they call a PGA Hope Instructor. It's a great program that PGA started.
Okay.
It stands for Helping Our Patriots Everywhere.
Oh, I love that.
It's a 6-week program.
Okay.
We have several instructors and
veterans.
we teach with veterans. Yes. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, it's our patriots. So it's all of our veterans from all different walks of life that have served in other wars.
Okay.
Iraq, Iran. Some of them have PTSD. Some of them have TBIs.
And we are running out of time. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
But if you want to learn more, she already gave you the contact information. My name is Ellen Contreras, Treasure Coast Connector. Until next week, I hope you have a great week, and I miss you already. Wow.